know what to do. I don't know who to blame. I don't know what is the cause. Hi, welcome back guys. Okay, if you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing to my channel. Put your bell notification on so that whenever I upload a new video, of course you'll be notified about it. Now back to my story guys. Recently I had a story of a man. He said that prior to his marriage he was diagnosed with genotype AA, and his wife was diagnosed with the same type of genotype AA. So they felt compatible and they got married, but in the long run they started giving birth to children with sickle cell anemia. When I heard this story, I was asking myself, is this even medically possible? Of course it's not medically possible. If this happens, which means something fishy must have played in the background. I repeat, something fishy must have played in the background, and that is exactly what I'm about to disclose to you. One of those fishy things that must have displayed itself in the background is exactly what I'm about to unfold to you today. Okay, now it is never medically possible for couples with genotype AA to give birth to children with sickle cell anemia. Now come to think of it, what is genotype? Your genotype is your genetic makeup. Okay, your genotype defines your traits. It is that trait that you got from your both parents. Because when I heard the story of that man, it quickly inspired this video. So I said I should come on here and talk about my own experience so that somebody out there will learn one or two things and be aware of it. Okay, so don't worry, I will tell you how I was diagnosed with this. Well, I will disclose that anyway. Now, back in the days when I was staying with my uncle, yeah, a need arose. I think that was when I was about writing jam or something, when I was doing the needful to, to enter the higher institution. So a need arose that I should check my genotype. I checked my genotype in one of the reliable hospitals around. That was a police clinic anyway. So I went. You know how it is being done now. You go, you submit your blood sample. So when the lab technician took my blood sample, she asked me to come back in 1 or 2 hours. So when I went back, of course, the result was ready. She handed the result over to me. I looked at it. She explained to me that I was AA genotype, okay? And of course, I went home, I documented it. Then fast forward to 2 years later, somebody was coming, to seek for my hand in marriage. Yeah. So let me just spill everything to you. I don't need to hide nothing to you. All right. Somebody was coming to ask for my hand in marriage. So then we were looking at ourselves with one eye whether it would work or not. So, but I personally asked him to go and check his genotype because I was confident enough that I already know my genotype, so there was no need for that. So he went to check his genotype, and he came back, told me that his genotype was AS. Of course, there was no need. If at all we were going to get married, then there was no cause for alarm because we would have still been compatible. But then, so we relaxed and we were still monitoring ourselves. So one of those days, one thought came to me, like, I had this thought, like, why don't you go and check your own genotype at least for a more recent result, for a fresh result, at least. That mind kept coming to me, like, that thought kept coming to me. Go and check your genotype. So guys, I decided to go and check my genotype this time to have a fresh result at hand. Of course, the hospital I went to check my genotype before was a very reliable hospital, like I said before, so there was no need for doubting the authenticity of the results. So, but then I decided to listen to my mind. I went to checked my genotype the second time. My blood sample was collected as usual. I was asked to come in 2 days time, guys. So I went back in 2 days time. I collected my results. So guys, when I went home, opened the results, to my greatest surprise, my genotype was AS. So I didn't believe that result. I was like, maybe there was an error somewhere. How could I have been diagnosed with genotype AA in a time past? Now it's turning to be AS. No, it's not possible. So I went to check the result again, in this time in a different hospital. So I went, checked my genotype, went back the following day, collected my result, went home, and the result still says AS. Okay, so that was how I quickly dissolved that relationship. Like, the bobo was like, no, this is a mistake, there is an error somewhere. I say, no, Oga, cases concerning genotype matters. You don't play with it. Even if we are Romeo and Juliet, don't just play with genotype issues. Okay, so because I already was aware of the consequences of getting married to an incompatible genotype. Now, with it, that was how I dissolved the relationship. So a few years later, fast forward to when I met my husband, it was a distant relationship, and the first thing I asked him was his genotype. So to cut the whole story short, you guys, he provided his genotype, and luckily enough, his genotype was or is AA. So we were compatible. I said to myself, even if I am truly AS, we are still compatible. So we got married. To cut the whole story short, we got married. When he came back home, we got married, and after our wedding, we decided to go and run a fresh test. This time we decided to go to a very reliable hospital. Like, this time I didn't want stories no more. I didn't want stories. Like, I needed my correct genotype. Okay, so we went to that hospital. We submitted our blood samples. We submitted our blood samples. Few hours later, our result came out. Okay, lo and behold, guys, do you know what again? My genotype turned to be AA again, and that of my husband still AA. Like, this time, what is happening? Who do I blame this time? Do I blame the unreliable testing machines in Nigeria, or is it incompetence on the side of the lab technicians? I don't just get it. What is happening? What is happening? Guys, to be frank with you, up till now, this lady here doesn't know her true genotype. Like, it's a whole lot. It is a whole lot. But thank God, my husband is still AA. I don't know what to do. I don't know who to blame. I don't know what is the cause. So at this point, I'm beginning to ask, please, does genotype change? If you are a medical practitioner here, if you are a health worker here, please tell me. Or even if you are not a health worker and you have the knowledge, please tell me, does genotype change? Because right here, I am still confused about my own genotype. And the funny aspect of it is that over here in Mexico, for those of you who do not know, I stay here in Mexico, and this genotype of 18 is not peculiar to Mexicans. It is not peculiar here in Mexico. Like, they don't know what genotype is. It is not peculiar to them. So when you talk about genotype, it sounds strange to them. Even back in the days when my husband was trying to figure out his genotype, he went to all the hospitals here trying to get his genotype checked, but they said they don't know what genotype is. Like, it's crazy. My husband had to refer to his what is it called, medicals at school, okay, to dig out his genotype. That was how he brought his genotype, though he was doing all of that because I needed a proof. Okay, he already knew his genotype, but at that point I needed a proof that you are AA, because me, I don't know what is happening with my own genotype. So guys, this is what must have happened to that man. This is what must have happened to that man that I heard his story, who was diagnosed to be AA genotype before he got married, and his wife diagnosed to be AA genotype as well. But in the long run, they started giving birth to children with sickle cell anemia. Imagine if I didn't go back to check my genotype again, and I depended on my first genotype and got married to a guy with AS genotype. What do you think would have been the result? This is exactly what happened to that man. So I advise anyone, if you're checking your genotype, if it is possible, check in 10 different hospitals. I believe your true genotype must carry the major results. I believe so. Your true genotype must carry the major results. So this is, when I heard the story of that man, I got inspired immediately to come and make this video. Please, you guys, if before you get married as a spinster, make sure you check your genotype, if possible, in 10 different hospitals. It is that serious. Don't play with genotype matters. Okay? This is just an awareness. Don't marry someone who has an incompatible genotype with yours. Even if you are Romeo and Juliet, please do not marry. Dissolve that relationship again, because by doing so, you are doing yourself a whole lot of good by dissolving that relationship. It might be painful, yeah, but please dissolve the relationship and find someone who is compatible enough to get married to. People with AA genotype, I know you guys are the hot cake this time around. Please do us a favor. Do those with AS genotype a favor by marrying them, okay? So that at least one day we'll wake up to a normal world where there is no single child with sickle cell anemia. All right, so this is what I said I should come here and relate to you guys. Thank you if you watched up to this time, and I believe you learned one or two things from this video. Give this video a thumbs up, okay, if you have not done that already, and subscribe to my channel if you are new, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much. Bye.